Hi everybody, we are back for today's Facebook Live. We're going to answer the age-old question, what the heck is a Hellbender? So we are in the Hellbender pod, which is located behind our reptile house. Just like usual, we're going to give everybody a minute or two to get in here and join us. We'll let our audience grow, but we want to make sure you guys can hear us and see us. So let us know that you're here, that you can hear us, you can see us, and we will give a few shout outs as we're waiting to get started here. So once again, we are joining you from the Hellbender pod. It is essentially a biosecure trailer that's located behind our reptile house. Thank you, Sue. Glad you can hear us. Good morning, Grayson and Carter. Hi, Marley and Rossford. Glad you guys are tuning in today. You are looking at a Hellbender. We're going to talk more about what the heck a Hellbender is here in just a moment. But once again, we want to make sure you guys can hear us. Thank you, Jennifer. Allison, we love the Hellbenders too. Hi, Sean. Glad you can join us. Jeff, we're partial to salamanders. Hi, Austin and Alicia. Glad you guys could tune in this morning. Hi, Joshua. Good morning, Drake. Hi, Mom. Always got to get those shout outs to Mom in there too. Hi, Gage. Trina, I think Hellbenders are cute too. You and I might be in the minority though, to be honest. Hi, Morgan and Blake. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Gibson and Farron. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Hi, Bree. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead here. Hi, Paige, Hunter, and Nora. Hi to the SEAL team. Glad to see all of you guys. Hi, Lane. We are here in the Hellbender pod going to answer that age-old question of what the heck is a Hellbender. We have Mitch from Education here with us today. Before we get started, though, we want to give you our few morning announcements. Our first thing is thank you all so very much for your continued support during this difficult time. We know everybody is at home, staying in, staying healthy. We hope everybody is well. We know that it is a struggle for everybody out there right now. Just know that we are here caring for the animals at the zoo, and if you are able to donate to help us sustain our future, there is a donate button on your live feed. You can also go to toledozoo.org/donate to see all the ways you can help your zoo. And we are running a Facebook fundraiser that will go through March 31st. So thank you for all of the support thus far and continue to keep it going. We will be here each weekday with a Facebook Live for you, and we hope that you'll join us. We also want to say thank you to everybody who came out for our first Meals on the Go yesterday. We had some amazing Mexican food. One person said it was the best they've ever had, so thank you to our catering department and Chef Eloisa. If you'd like to get in on this week's Meals on the Go, those chicken or beef enchiladas or the chicken Alfredo with red or white sauce, go to toledozoo.org, place your order for Thursday. Pickup times are 4 to 6 p.m. You can order and pay online. Come to the Broadway entrance. We'll bring it right out to the car for you, and you've got family dinner done. So orders are due by 2 o'clock on Thursday, and then next week we'll have new entree options for you. One more reminder, this Thursday is our first virtual classroom headed up by our education department. If you're looking for a little supplement to that homeschool work you've been doing, these guys are going to offer a tour of parts of the zoo, and there's a worksheet, there's interaction and animals. Sign up at toledozoo.org. It is $3 for members and $5 for non-members. All right, that completes our announcements for this morning. And now we're going to turn it over to Mitch to talk a little bit about what the heck is a Hellbender.
Well, welcome again this morning to the Hellbender Conservation Center, or as we call it here at the Toledo Zoo, we call it the Hellbender Pod. So I'm going to answer your question, well, what the heck is a Hellbender? Well, first of all, a Hellbender is a type of a salamander, which in itself is a type of amphibian So it's related to like frogs and toads. The Hellbender is actually our largest salamander in North America and the third largest salamander in the world. So it gets to be about 2 feet in length when it's an adult and maybe weigh up to 4 pounds when it's an adult as well. So maybe your next question about why do we have all these Hellbenders here at the Toledo Zoo? Well, we're part of a conservation program to try to restore Hellbenders here in the state of Ohio. Hellbenders historically were found in the eastern side of the state and central side of the state. Over the years, their numbers have started collapsing in their native streams. So they used to be found in 23 counties in Ohio. Now it's down to 7 counties in Ohio. They need really clear water in order to survive. It has to be well oxygenated water. And many, many years ago when deforestation began and other land changes, the water that they were found in started silting up. And they cannot survive in silted water. There's not enough oxygen, and it covers the rocks that they use in order to hide and to breed. They like these really large flat rocks that they hide under, and they build their nest under for breeding. So if the rivers get all silted up, they don't have those areas to breed anymore or to hide anymore, and so they end up declining over the years. So in the Hellbender pod here, we raise these guys up, we collect the eggs in the wild, we bring them here to the pod, and we hatch them out, and we rear them up to about 3 years in age. So all the ones that you're seeing right now, these are being really close to being released. So these were ones that were collected in 2017. Right now they're in the area of probably about 8 to 10 inches long. And then this fall, we'll start releasing them into their native rivers down in central Ohio. They start breeding in August usually, so that's when we collect the eggs. So this year we'll go down again, we'll collect the eggs, and we'll bring a portion of them up here and start the whole thing over again. So this has been a really successful project, getting these guys back into their native streams, building up populations of these remarkable amphibians that are native to the state of Ohio.
All right, Mitch, the very first question here, and a couple of people have asked it, why are they called Hellbenders?
Why are they called Hellbenders? Well, that's really an age-old question, and there's really no clear answer to that. I actually read something that was published on public radio one time on their website, and basically it said that fishermen would say that it looks like they came out of hell and were bent on getting back there. So that's the old saying. I don't know if there's much truth to that, but that's about the only thing I can find on that.
That's a wonderful answer, though. And Jesslyn wants to know, what do they eat?
Well, their favorite food as adults is actually crayfish. But they'll also eat lots of other invertebrates or things like insects, aquatic insects. One thing I did mention is they spend their whole life in the stream. So they'll eat anything that they can grab a hold of. Fish, crayfish, insects, frogs. They're all fair game to them.
Very nice. And let's see, Alex wants to know, did they once live in Michigan?
No, their range never went into Michigan. They're part of, they occurred mostly in the Appalachian Mountain Range, from about northern Georgia, kind of going up at an angle through central and eastern Ohio, up into southern New York. So they never reached into Michigan.
And Sammy wants to know, how many Hellbenders do you guys have?
Well, right now we have a couple hundred Hellbenders in this pod of various ages.
And Trina asks, do they have names?
They do not have names. A little bit too many of them to have names. We name a lot of other animals here at the zoo, but not our Hellbenders.
Grayson wants to know, what are the orange things in their tank?
Oh, great question. The orange things are their tank. Those are basically for us to kind of mimic the type of large rocks they like to hide under. So these are like terracotta pots. Those are the pots like you grow your plants in. And you have a little tray you have underneath those pots to collect the water when you're watering the plants. And that's what these are. And we put a hole in them. They work really, really well. And they replicate those giant rocks that they like to hide under. So yeah, Here's one right here that kind of shows you what they look like. So we just chip a hole out of the side so that they can crawl in there.
And as you can see, we have different sizes kind of as they grow. You guys that's a rather small one that you're holding, but we're looking at one here in the second tank that's quite large. And we're seeing some little heads peeking out here. And somebody commented on their little toenails. Yes, it does kind of look like they have a little manicure, pedicure going on there.
They do.
They're very cute creatures in their own little way. Talk about, how they feel, how they, when you pick them up. I was lucky enough to get to go with you guys to collect eggs and also to release these, and that was part of the coolest thing to me.
Well, it's actually kind of a funny question because one of their other names are snot otters. Okay, and so you can imagine what they feel like with a name like snot otter. So they're pretty slimy, as a matter of fact, and actually that slime acts as a defense mechanism when they may be attacked by predators.
And Brinley wants to know, how old can they get, Mitch?
Great question again. Actually, their lifespan in the wild, we really don't know. It probably averages between 14 and 16 years, but in captivity, they've lived up to 29, almost 30 years. So they could potentially live that long in the wild.
Wow, that's amazing. And Lane wants to know, do they make good pets?
No, they don't make good pets. In fact, hellbenders are classified as endangered species in Ohio, and it would be illegal to have them as a pet.
Aiden asks, do they have teeth and a tongue?
Yes, they do have teeth and a tongue. Their teeth actually are pretty sharp, and if they bit you, it would draw blood.
Good to know. Good morning, Riley. Drake asks, how do they breathe?
Another great question. When they are really young, they have external gills, so they look like little feathers that are kind of flitting on the sides of their head. When they get older, those outside gills, they go away, and then they actually breathe through their skin. And so you see that wrinkly appearance on the skin. That actually helps increase the surface area, so there's more spaces for the oxygen to flow through their skin to supply their needs.
And Alex asks, why are you wearing lab coats and Crocs?
Well, that's a great question too. See, this is a biosecure area, okay? And we do that in order to protect the animals from any kind of bacteria, a fungus that we might accidentally drag into this space. So we want to protect these animals because if we had a single disease go through here, it would wipe out the entire population in the pod.
So before we came in here, there's another room outside this door that they leave these shoes only come in and out of this area, and the lab coats too, and we all scrubbed all the way up to our elbows.
Yep, all the way up to our elbows.
Yep.
So if I had to put my hand in the water, I'm not introducing any kind of bacteria or foreign agent in the water. So yeah, we really want to protect these animals.
And Rowan asks, do we have any babies here?
Well, we have some from 2019 down in some of these other tanks. So these are the youngest ones we have. And actually with these ones, if you get close enough, you can actually see the gills on the outside, which is what's different than you would see on the adult. So these are the youngest ones we had. Again, we will be collecting the eggs this fall and hatching those eggs out. When they hatch out, they're about 1 inch long. We don't have any that are that little right now.
I was lucky enough to go out and collect eggs with the conservation team before. And if you guys have ever seen a pearl onion, they look a lot like a pearl onion. They're about the same shape and size. And then you can see inside they have a little tiny start of the Hellbender, and it's bright yellow. And so you can kind of see it moving around when the eggs first come in. It's very, very cool to see. And Jessica wants to know if those lids like you have are their bedrooms.
Well, basically, I guess you would call it their bedroom. They spend most of their time underneath them, yes.
And Max asks about the wavy skin on their sides. Why do they have those? You talked a little bit about it. Tell us a little more.
Yeah, I did. The wavy skin actually helps increase the surface area. So basically, if you took that wavy skin and let's say you stretched it all out, it would be a lot bigger than it would be if it didn't have that wavy skin. And so since the skin is used to absorb oxygen from the water, that provides for their needs a lot easier than if they didn't have the wavy skin.
And Jackson wants to know if hellbenders are like lizards.
No, well, they look and have an appearance like lizards for sure, no doubt about it. But they're in two different groups of animals, okay? So lizards are reptiles, okay, and the hellbenders are amphibians.
And Gibson, unfortunately, we can't see the babies. We don't have any right now, but if you go to toledozoo.org/conservation and you click on our hellbenders, there are some pictures of the eggs and littler ones on there for you to check out. Trina wants to know, what kind of water are they in?
Well, the water, that is the most critical part of us raising the hellbenders here at the zoo. So the water has to be pure. We actually use something called reverse osmosis. I'm not going to get into that, but we start with water and then we add the minerals and salts to the water in order to make it the ideal environment for them to live in. So yes, and we also have to oxygenate the water. So you'll see bubblers and like lots of water splashing, and that adds oxygen to the water because these guys need highly oxygenated water in order to do well.
And I know when they are in the rocks, is the water coming at them or going by them?
Well, good question. I don't even know if I know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I believe it's passing over, but I don't know that for certain because I've never been underwater to observe them.
Evelyn asks, how long do they get?
How long do they get? About 2 feet when they're adults.
Very nice. And Lane wants to know, can they live outside of water?
No, they cannot, because like fish have to be in water in order to extract the oxygen out of the water. Hellbenders also have to be in the water to extract the oxygen out of the water as well, which is kind of interesting. They're one of the few fully aquatic salamanders that we have in North America.
That is really interesting. And Andrew, we hope that answers your question of, do they breathe underwater? Yes, they do, and they breathe through their skin.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Yeah. Jennifer wants to know, where are they mainly found?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, their range is through the Appalachian Mountains. So they start down in northern Georgia and northern Alabama. And then it kind of just makes a curve up through Kentucky into West Virginia, into North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and then into southern New York. So that's their range. And that's the only place in the world that these guys are found, by the way.
Wow. Emerson wants to know if they're related to crocodiles.
They are not related to crocodiles. Again, crocodiles, though they have a somewhat similar appearance, crocodiles are reptiles, and these guys are amphibians.
And Alex, the hellbenders that you are looking at right now were, the eggs were collected in 2017, and these will be released later this fall.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
We raise them until they're about 3 years old and a little under a foot long, big enough to escape predation, but small enough that they're still going to adapt to the environment where we place them. And that's the cool thing is, as I said before, I actually got to go out and give hellbenders a home, release them, and it's very cool because our staff actually goes along these creek beds and picks out specific rocks to place them under. They each get their own new home, and they are tracked. Can you talk about how we track them?
Yeah, we use something called a PIT tag. So it's capital P, capital I, capital T. And that stands for a passive integrated transponder. Don't have to remember that, but here's the key thing. It's a little capsule that is placed under the skin with a hypodermic needle-like a device. And what we do is we have a receiver, and that receiver sends out a radio signal. And when that little capsule receives that radio signal, it sends back a signal that tells us, gives us an identification of that particular hellbender. So we know when we released it, where we released it, so it gives us lots of information.
And then it will tell us where they are also.
That's right.
Some of them do travel a little bit from their homes.
They do. They have a pretty short home range, but some of them do travel a little ways. Mm-hmm.
And Nicole wants to know, how can we help them? How can we help Hellbenders?
Well, lots of good ways. Be an advocate for Hellbenders, all right? They're kind of odd-looking creatures, but you know, when people, if we advocate for them, tell people how important it is that we have them and how important they are to the ecosystem, that's great. One of the interesting things about Hellbenders is that if you find a Hellbender, that is like a signal that the water quality in that stream is A-OK. It's great water quality. So I think we all want to have really good water quality, and so these guys are kind of like a barometer to tell us what the water quality is.
And Karen asks, what are their predators?
Oh, they have lots of predators, especially when they're young, and that's a kind of an important point of why we have them in the pod. This is called a Head Start program. We want to raise them up to about 3 years old, about a foot long. At that point, they are becoming the predators instead of being predated on by other animals. So when they're young, they're eaten by frogs and fish and birds. When they're adults, they're eaten by things like raccoons. Other Hellbenders eat them. So yes, we want to get them up to the point where they're becoming more of the predator instead of being eaten by predators.
And Courtney, you can see Hellbenders here at the zoo in the new ProMedica Museum of Natural History. We have a very cool new Hellbender exhibit that actually has little crawl-in holes that you can go in and look up to see the Hellbenders, because they usually are under rocks. So we gave you guys a different view to check those out. But also when you come to the back of the reptile house and you will see the Hellbender pod, and it has great big windows that I'm standing in front of right now that you can see in here and see what we're doing. Crystal asks, are these also known as mud puppies?
I've never really heard to them. Mud puppies are similar, but they are not the same. I've heard these things called water dogs, water devils, but not mud puppies. Mud puppies are different, yes.
We'll give a few shout outs here. Hi Logan, thanks for joining us. Cynthia asks, what's their job in the ecosystem?
Well, their main job is to be part of the entire food web. Okay, you get asked that question about a lot of different animals. Even mosquitoes have an important purpose in the world in providing food for other animals. Well, Hellbenders are the same. So basically, it's the balance of life. All right, so that there are not too many predators, there are not too many prey animals. So it is part of a balanced ecosystem. So they provide services in that ecosystem that are unseen by you and me, by what they eat and what they provide food for.
Hi Colton, Cassidy, and Isabel. Mitch said we have a couple hundred Hellbenders here at the zoo right now. Throughout the years, those numbers go up and down based on when we release them, when we collect new eggs. But right now we have a couple hundred. Thanks for tuning in, Linda. We're glad to show you guys some of this cool behind-the-scenes stuff that you may not normally see during your zoo visit. Hi, McKenna. Hi, Kane and Phoenix. Shelly, these animals are Hellbenders, and as Mitch told us, they are a type of salamander native to Ohio. And Bennett wants to know how you can tell a male from a female.
You cannot. All right, so that's a good question. These guys, I cannot look at a particular animal and tell you whether it's male or female. The only way we would know that is like during mating season. Otherwise, we would have to do surgery on the animal in order to find that answer.
And we know we talked about this earlier, but it's a pretty cool story, so I think we can tell people again. Quinn wants to know, how did they get their name?
Okay, well, the legend is that when fishermen would catch these on occasion, they would say, and I quote, "These things look like they came out of hell and are bent on getting back there," unquote.
Very cool. And Jessica asks, can you hold it like a salamander?
We don't recommend holding it. When we're placing them, obviously, in the stream, we would have to pick them up and hold them. But one thing about all amphibians is that their skin is particularly delicate. All right, so you don't want to introduce any kind of chemicals from your hands because they could absorb that through their skin and it could cause them problems. So we don't make a practice of handling these animals.
And that leads back to why we're wearing these lovely lab coats and Crocs. We are in a biosecure area. We scrubbed our hands and our arms up to our elbows before we came in, so that if we were to reach in the water to, say, remove a cover so you guys could see the Hellbenders, that we wouldn't introduce any contaminants into their water. And so there you go. Mitch has taken out one of those, as Jessica called them, their bedrooms. So you can sort of get a better view of the Hellbenders. They do swim a little bit. As you're seeing, they can move their tail back and forth. But they do like to hide underneath these lids and rocks out in the wild. It protects them from predators, but it also allows them to be a predator and sneak up on their prey.
Yes, they spend most of their time underneath the rocks. They do have a powerful tail, so they can swim in order to catch prey or get away from a predator. So they are good swimmers, but they rely primarily on their tail to do that.
And Nicole asked, how many have we released so far?
Well, I can tell you how many we released last year, so that would have been in 2019. The Toledo Zoo released 85 of these. But we are in partnership with other zoos and other organizations to raise these. So for instance, the Penta Career Center, we also have a pod just like this, and those students there are raising Hellbenders, doing the same thing that you see happening here. Columbus Zoo also has a captive breeding program, so that they're doing the same thing. So it's very important to have these partnerships in place, because when you have more partners, you have bigger capacity, you can do more, and when you can do more, your chances of having a successful program increase dramatically.
And Sean, yes, you can totally see Hellbenders when you come to the zoo. In the ProMedica Museum of Natural History, there's a brand new Hellbender exhibit, and this pod is located behind the reptile house. And while it's not open for public exhibit, there are big windows that you can look in and see what we're doing in here and see the Hellbenders in these aquariums and know that your zoo is helping to conserve these native creatures. All right, let's give a few more shout outs. Hi Sawyer, hi Tara, hi Olivia, hi Roan, hi Sean, hi Aiden, Sam, Maggie, McKenna, Cadence, and Macy. Hi there. Bill says it's great to see Mitch and the snot otters. Sandra, thank you. We love showing you guys all the different aspects of the zoo, and we are trying to move all around to show you guys all kinds of different creatures and efforts happening here at the zoo. Yesterday, if you missed it, we were in the commissary seeing where all the food for all of the animals, all 10,000 animals, goes through. This is one of our conservation efforts. We've met some creatures from our ambassador animals. We have some amazing things planned for you guys too, to see a bunch of other creatures. I can tell you that great apes and otters are on the schedule. We're going to be in the aquarium. We are moving all throughout the zoo because we want to show you all of the things that are still happening while you can't be here, but know that we are still here. Our keepers, our vet staff, everybody is still here caring for your animals and making sure that they are safe and they are healthy, and they will be here when you get a chance to come back and see them. This is our way of keeping you connected while we can't be together on grounds. So we are trying to move all around the zoo and show everybody what they want to see. So keep telling us what you want to see. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate all of your support. And once again, if you'd like to help support your zoo and sustain our future, there is a donate button on your live feed. We are doing a Facebook fundraiser, and you can always go to toledozoo.org/donate. Don't forget about those education virtual classrooms happening on Thursday, as well as those family dinners on the go, also happening Thursday. We look forward to seeing you guys more tomorrow. And until next time, now you know what the heck a Hellbender is.